Welcome, everyone. This is Piney Needles, and you're listening to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and here at DDO Players. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Dracula.
Hey, everybody. How's it going tonight?
And everyone, please welcome our guest for this week, the community manager of DDO, Cordovan.
Hey, thanks very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
And thank you for visiting us today.
It's an honor to be here.
Always love having you on.
Yes.
Always.
Yep. How much trouble can I get myself into tonight?
Yes.
Oh, feel free to.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, Dracula said I could. So
See, that's right.
Yeah.
Remember, this is just between us. Nobody else is hearing this.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Pay no attention to the people in the chat room. They are not hearing what we're saying.
Well, I mean, technically you're correct because we're on probably, at least a 6-second delay.
True. That's very true.
At the moment it's being uttered, nobody other than us can hear it. So.
Yes.
As the old saying goes, though, once it's on the internet.
Right. And let's begin with the game news for this week. And last Thursday, April 14th, we had some downtime. And what was that all about?
That was mostly related to lag and performance fixes. It's part of an ongoing process that we've been doing to address, game performance in recent weeks post data center migration. We have up some information on a thread about it. I guess I'd really just direct you to that. And I understand maybe you've got some information from Severlin as well that I think pretty succinctly captures what's going on.
Yes, you did have him on last week's weekly Wednesday live stream. You had him on at the very beginning of the show, and I think he describes it perfectly. So let's take a listen to that.
Well, and also nice to have Severlin, the executive producer of DDO, join us for just a couple of minutes of his lunch. I really appreciate you joining me, Sev.
How are you?
Good. Reason I've got you on for just a couple minutes here is we're going to be announcing some downtime tomorrow. That'll be from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. tentatively. We do have QA doing a few last second checks on it. But assuming that all works out in the next hour or so, we'll be announcing our downtime and putting some things in place tomorrow to improve the situation with lag in the game. So what can we expect on a technical side happening tomorrow on the servers?
So lag is an ongoing thing we've been working on. We will continue to work on even after tomorrow, but some fixes tomorrow should help improve things. The first thing we have is we have some back-end technical fixes that will replace some Microsoft functionality that was deprecated because we've moved to a new operating system with the new servers and replace it with something more modern so that the way the virtual machine that our games use work with the CPUs will be modernized. We think that this might be contributing to the lag as the games right now can't switch CPUs in a virtualized environment. The other thing is there's some Barbarian fixes that will go in that are causing some effect stacking, and that will be all cleaned up tomorrow as well.
That sounds great. And then the other thing we're doing is we're doing a game code fix for what's called a stacking enhancement bug, at least sort of internally. We found several things for the Barbarian where they're basically communicating behind the scenes in a way that is detrimental to the environment. Is that a good way to describe it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
We're also working behind the scenes to shore up some of our networking lines, and the hang up on that is as we negotiate with the vendors, there's a lot of legalese that happens between the two companies, and that's just a process that we can't turn around quickly because those contracts have to be rock solid.
And this is one of the things you've frankly been quite busy on for several weeks now, dealing with lag, sit in meetings with our IT folks and executive folks and all that as well. So keeping you pretty busy. But I also noticed you have had a little bit of time to put together some Fighter Kensei changes as well.
Yep, I've been talking about the Kensei changes that we're doing. I think that the public has seen them and had a chance to talk about them. The concern is that they may not be enough, and after we've done some DPS testing with a lot of it implemented, I think the only thing left is the actual opportunity attack. It looks like the DPS is coming in a little lower than we had hoped, so we'll probably be shoring up the 5th core because it's pretty weak, and that will reward players who go deep into fighter. and then probably adding a little bit to the 5th tier enhancements so that they compete better with things like Dance of Death is something that the players specifically have been talking about as something to compare it to.
And you can find out about that over on the DDO forums right now. I would say additionally we have started sending some of our loot list proposals to the Players Council, so hopefully that'll be on its way to the public here, at some time in the relatively near future. And then we have Lamania for Update 31 coming together, again, not immediately, but coming down the road here fairly soon. And so tomorrow's patch should hopefully make some improvements. Now, we don't want to say, okay, as of tomorrow, all lag will be fixed in DDO. So would you care to, I guess at this point, is it making a little bit of a bet as to what kind of impact it's going to have? I mean, we know it's going to not hurt things and it's going to improve things, but what's our expectations following tomorrow's patch?
If you raid with barbarians, it should make a big difference.
Yep.
The reason we're doing this is something that in other properties we saw a big change when we moved them up into these later operating systems with this. So I'm reasonably confident that this will make a difference. Whether it beats out the lag, I don't think so, because until we shore up the networking, anyone that's going through the alternate networking CenturyLink, I believe, will see bits of lag just because of the network latency.
Yep.
But the thing is, this will clear up a lot of stuff so that our evaluations are much cleaner.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, well, that sounds good. And this is something that we will be continuing to work on beyond tomorrow's patch. But we do hope that tomorrow's patch will have some improvement here as well. So, and we'll have more information about Update 31 as we get a little bit closer to that. Thanks, Sev,
sure.
for joining me. Yep.
So there, that I think, as Cordovan said, that kind of explains it better than instead of having to rehash what's already been on the forum. So I know... I can't speak for Wayfinder because I didn't actually log into my character on Wayfinder, but I know on Cannith the lag was better for me.
Yeah, we are better than where we were, but we're still not where we need to be. One of the things we're working on here is an upcoming patch of some kind. Stay tuned for more information as to kind of what form it takes. We did find a few other avenues to improve things, one of which is related to optimizing our monitoring tools. If you think about all the data that we need to capture related to how many enhancements were taken, how many quests were completed, how many people died, where did people die, et cetera, et cetera. Some of that stuff has to be included into the mix of things that you could potentially optimize if you're trying to improve the environment. So we have some things that we're going to be doing there. And there's some other technical stuff that is really something for more of our engineers to speak about. But we have found a few other things that we can do as well that we think will make a difference. So we are planning to do a patch in the relatively near future. Some of that's going to involve a little bit of actual development work. So we do have to slot in the time for that development process and that approvals process. It would need to be a new build. So that's something that why I can't really give you an exact ETA as of the time of this recording.
And I know you talked about it on a couple of your live streams, but just in case maybe some of our audience, haven't watched those replay videos on YouTube, has this lag affected any of the work on Update 31 at all?
Not really. If it did, it's a very minor amount. One of the things that is in play here is that this is a lot of technical fixes, which means it's a lot of work for our network operations people, our engineers, a different sort of group than those who would be building the dungeons, statting the monsters, working on the text and the lore and things like that. So for the most part, they were able to continue their work unaffected. There was, I think, one day where the build got messed up. And there have been a few things where the engineering team has had to divert some of their resources to that. So I can't say that there's been no impact, but it's a very minor impact for the most part here.
All right, then. And Do we have any questions from the chat room?
Not yet. I just actually typed in there that I said if they have any questions, feel free to ask, so we can just move on, and then we'll kind of bounce back and forth once we get some questions.
Well, then let's head to the anniversary event, or I guess it's time to head away from the anniversary event since it is coming to an end.
Yep. You've got until tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, kind of mid-morning Eastern time. We'll probably end up officially flipping the switches. So it's sad to see it go. It's been a really fun time, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I personally did, and I guess I am fairly biased since I do get to kill you in the game. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You just like it because
I'm about as biased as it can get, Yeah, but no, I had a blast with it. I think it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Actually, I think the dev that actually killed me first was Vivian. It was in that skeleton room where all those
okay
Pastel first did.
Yeah.
Probably
that was a lot of fun. That was so much fun to put that together.
Actually, that has probably was the best challenge type dungeon that I've seen. At least my favorite of any of them. I'm sure
you say that. I know I sure enjoyed it. It's just super fun. I really like that tech too. I know, there may still be some things, should we use it in the future, that we can even further optimize. This is similar to the tech used for the Night Rebels event, which, came out around October. So if we get to do that kind of thing, but it's nice because you could basically be any level. And you'll notice you could even be like really low level this time around, which again kind of did end up causing a few issues, which is probably why it wasn't there the first time around. Because after eventually the auto statting gets so weak that it kind of cheeses it a little bit, but whatever. If you want to run your level 2s a whole bunch through it, go ahead, right? So,
If I remember correctly, it was pretty easy to get through at level 5, and then at level 6 it started to get a little tough.
We do have a question in the chat room now, actually. DDO Central is asking, will Update 31 be set in the Forgotten Realms? Are these going to be free-to-play standalone quests or a build-up to a new story arc?
These are going to be free-to-play, and they are going to be standalone quests. They are not building up to a new story arc. It's similar in some ways to what we did. I can't remember when we did it, but when we released, say, Mired and Kobolds and those other 2 quests, Delirium and the other one. And then there was the time that we released Brothers of the Forge and Study in Sable, which, while it was only 2 quests there, Study in Sable is a fairly complex quest that, time-wise took a lot of development to do. So it's almost like making 2 quests, frankly. So we're going to be around that range, although I think the quest count's going to be higher. We'll see. We'll see. But it is going to be standalone quests, and they are going to be free quests. There's no adventure pack that you need to buy for this.
And we did have I put a post up on DDO Players, and we did have one comment to that. Quailahar asked, will you ever do live streaming in the evenings besides just the lunchtime streaming and the Fridays at 5 that you do? Some players are unable to log in during the day.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'm a family man. I do have a son, it's going to be with me all summer long and everything. And I do work and then go home from work and have to make dinner and such. So it tends to be, when I'm streaming, I'm doing it, while I'm at work and in the office and all that. But it's an idea.
I'm surprised
it would
you get
be
away
cool.
with
I'd love
Friday.
to do it. Yeah, I mean, if all things being equal, yeah, sure, why not? It'd be a blast. But real life is kind of makes it a little more difficult.
How do you get away with Friday at 5? That's what I wonder.
Well, actually, kind of funny you should mention that because I'm probably going to be pulling it back a few hours in a little bit here because I'm going to have a son I need to pick up at daycare. So, but yeah.
So you might mean it might be a Friday at 3 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that, right. But ultimately it was there was a company meeting at 4:00 every Friday where people get together and they just kind of do a quick rundown of what's going on and all that sort of thing. And I wanted to be able to attend that rather than live stream every week. So Fridays at 5 just made sense. I was usually in the office till after 6 anyway, so it wasn't that big a deal.
And Mookie Blaylock in the chat room is asking, any updates on the Umber Hulk?
Yes, but first, let me go back to DDO Central's question because I realized I didn't actually answer the first one. Will Update 31 be set in the Forgotten Realms? I think one of those quests, at least one of those quests, is indeed set in the Forgotten Realms. So it's going to be a mix, as I understand it, between both Eberron and Forgotten Realms content. Oh, and any updates on the Umber Hulk? Yes. The update is we went and grabbed some video, and we've submitted it to our various approvals processes that need to be approvals. And hopefully within a few weeks we'll have a preview video if you don't see it on Lamania before then, which you probably will. And that's coming up very soon, potentially end of the week here. We'll see. Could be early next week, could be even middle of next week if everything goes south or something else needs to be done. But we're going to have our first preview on Lamania here fairly soon, potentially by the end of the week.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have any other questions, feel free to slide them into the chat room. I'll just keep looking, and we'll keep bouncing back as we go along with the show. But I do have one from Twitter, and that is from Patrick over at DDO Cast. He says, quote, "Clearly, you must ask him the most important question of the year up to this point. Team Captain America or Team Iron Man?"
Honestly, I'm going to say, I think I got asked this by Samus during his live stream over the weekend. I'm going to side with Team Captain based only on my knowledge of the Civil War storyline from the comic books, which is a little hazy because I haven't read it since it came out.
You chose correctly, sir.
Yeah, I am honestly not a huge fan of a lot of the Marvel films. I mean, I like them. They're really well made. I don't know. I just don't. I haven't seen a lot of them, to be honest. So
the answer is always Team Captain. Always.
Mm-hmm.
Just if anybody is a little hazy on the answer, it's always Team Captain.
Yeah, I like Captain America. Yeah, he's a funny guy. That shield. How come he doesn't sled with it enough? That's what I want to know. Come on. He's super tough. He can roll down mountains and stuff. Can you imagine how good a slalom skier he could probably be?
That would be pretty epic, actually. That really would. Yeah. All right, we have no questions right now, Pine Leaf, so you can go ahead.
I just blew your mind. Right?
You did, actually.
Let's head into DDO Chronicle issue 186, where it looks like we've got a couple of ogres.
Yeah, it looks like ogres are getting ready to attack the poor little gnome.
Well, they are going to experience Gnomegeddon then.
Yeah, that's right. It is coming. It's coming for you all. In the community spotlights in our chronicle this week, a player by the name of Thunder Monkey has created an epic saga spreadsheet. So click over and check that out. And I have to say that Thunder Monkey is an awesome name, by the way. And Amy Lee 4000 over on her blog created an excellent post. I can talk. It would help. English is hard. Looking at the Tressum of Evening Star. So click over and give that a read. We do have our Chronicle comment, Pine Leaf. Are you ready for your question?
All right. I guess I'll get ready for the question.
If you had to pick between never again getting loot or getting XP, which would you choose and why?
Between never again getting loot or never again getting XP? Interesting question.
That is a very good question, Sweet. And as a side note, Cordovan, how do you come up with these questions?
I sit at the keyboard and stare at the screen until one comes to me.
All right. Well, then.
Or sometimes I'll ask other people, or I'll even say, I need help. The people bounce ideas off me and that. But seriously, I've done how many of them now? 200 and so?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, the correct answer, in my opinion, is that I would rather never get loot, because at some point loot's going to probably cap out, so you're only going to be able to get so powerful with loot. However, if you have unlimited XP, you can ultimately MacGyver yourself up that you could probably take a stick of hay and defeat a Tiamat with it,
Well, seeing how that I've always enjoyed the lower levels more, I'd probably go with the XP side, and especially since I guess you say that you don't care that you could take any amount of loot that you already have existing, and
you would just get better at using the loot, better and better and better at it.
Yeah, I suppose that would work. But as I said, I've always had a liking for lower to mid levels anyway. So therefore, if I was going to choose never to get another one of them, I would say XP, simply because that way I don't have to get into those epic levels.
That's true. It would be a lot less work.
And, of course, everybody knows my answer is loot because the RNG hates me anyway. So what do I need the loot for? Because I never get it.
Well, you do have a point there.
So easy answer. And Evil Pineleaf is making an appearance in our chat tonight. And he says Evil Pineleaf is all about the quest for XP and sort of, wait for it, XP Quest, which is also a member of our Players Alliance. So nice plug there, Evil Pineleaf, whoever you might be.
Mm-hmm.
Also in our Chronicle this week, in the Fansite News section, the latest edition of DDO Cast takes a look at building a bard. So click over if you're looking at building a bard for some great information. And DDO Gamer ponders a DDO-based card game. And I have to say, I've been trying to get Jeff on the show for a while now, but I really want to get him on now to talk about this because this is an amazing idea that he has came up with. If you have not read this blog post yet by Jeff over at DDO Gamer, you have to do yourself a favor and read it because I want to play this card game. It's amazing what he's done.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And then the Damsels of DDO, the gnomes are going wild, which I have all sorts of jokes I can make about that, but I'll just let it lie. And then the DDO Cocktail also has a new episode out, which kind of goes along with some of my jokes I was going to make. So click over and check out episode 97 of the Cocktail Hour. And that is it for our Chronicle this week.
And that then concludes our game news, but do we have any more questions?
Not yet, so we can keep going.
Then we can head into the store sales. And is there anything interesting on sale this week?
There is finally 25% off select adventure packs, the Quest XP elixirs, also at 25% off, and the free sample of the week through the 21st is the Bell of Opening. Use the coupon code, which you can find in our show notes, and you do get one of those per account, so choose your server wisely.
Then let's head over to our DDO Players News, our site news, and we'll begin with our screenshot of the week. Screenshot number 40. We are getting close to number 50, aren't we?
We are. We'll have to do something cool for number 50.
And it looks like we're at a table.
We are at a very special table, Pineleaf. We're at the anniversary table with the dragons. This week's shot comes to us from a player, Grimaldius of Galanda, and he says, "This is my warlock, Grimaldius, hanging out with the dragons in the 10th anniversary dungeon." So he's just kind of hanging out with your dragons, I guess, having a few drinks. And he also adds, he is the guild leader of the Heroes of D&D. They are an adult guild of no-nonsense, no-drama players. Side note, good luck with that, sir. On Galanda. They have been playing since 2007, and they are also looking to add new guild members. So if you could do a shout-out for my guild, we just did, that would be great. And great job on the podcast, guys. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you for that. So if anybody is on Galanda and looking for a new guild, look for the Heroes of D&D. And that is just the letter D, ampersand D, is how he worded it in the email. So I'm assuming that's how it is in-game as well. So thanks, Grimaldius, for sending that screenshot and that email. If you have a screenshot you would like to see featured, maybe in a couple weeks for our number 50 screenshot, you can send that to podcast@ddoplayers.com, and we might use your screenshot on the site.
All right. And now, what exactly is Google Play Music?
Google Play Music is Google's answer to the iTunes Store, basically, and iTunes. It is available on Android devices. You can also use it on the PC as well. But remember, it's been probably 2-3 months ago, I said that Google Play was going to start doing a podcast directory, kind of like, iTunes does. So you could subscribe to podcast on Google Play Music. And I submitted the podcast and promptly, to be honest, forgot about it because it was so long ago. Well, I got an email today that said that was active and working. So you can now find DDO Players News Podcast up on Google Play. And what you'll do is go into the show notes when this episode posts and click on the Find the Podcast on Google Play link, and that will take you right to our page on Google Play.
Now, my question is, why are there only about half the episodes up there.
Because they are still processing. I don't know why it's taking so long.
Okay.
Because I wondered that too, because I looked at the public page and I noticed that, and then I logged in on the admin side of it, and there is about half of our episodes that are still saying they're in process. So I don't know exactly what they're doing with them, but apparently it's taking a while. But eventually, all the episodes will be available for you to get on Google Play if you're using an Android device, or if you're using Google Play on your computer.
Right. Then let's see what we have from the dungeon. Or is there something from the chat room first?
Not yet. The chat room's very quiet tonight. I'm not sure what. I guess Cordovan's scaring them or something. I don't know.
I'm not scary.
That's right.
All right. Yeah.
He'll answer your question if he can. We promise.
All right. Then let's head into Easy Roller Dice, Gunmetal Polyhedral RPG Dice on Kickstarter. What?
Oh my God, these are awesome dice. Have you ever used a set of gunmetal dice? Finally,
you mean it's literally made out of gunmetal?
It's literally made out of gunmetal.
Have to admit that I have never heard of gunmetal dice.
You will never want to play with a standard set of dice again after you use gunmetal. I think it was either at Winter Fantasy this year or at Gen Con last year. One of the booths, I don't think it was Chessex. I think there was another dice manufacturer there, and they had some gunmetal dice, and I was looking at those dice, and I rolled them a few times. Oh, they're sweet. But there's a company out of Ohio called Easy Roller Dice. They have a Kickstarter up right now to where they are doing a set of gunmetal dice. And there is going to be 5 different colors that you can choose from. I prefer the blood red, just saying.
Oh, shock.
Yeah, shocker of all shocks. They also come with a nice set as well. The nice thing is the first tier of the Kickstarter to get a set of dice is only $30. Which is about $23 cheaper than if you would go to their site and just buy a set of gunmetal dice.
I'd say that isn't that too heavy? It could scuff up your table, except I bet if you have gunmetal dice, you're probably rolling it on like a dice case or something like that. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. I think I was at Gen Con when I played with them. They had like a little lint, or not lint, but a felt mat that you were using to roll them on.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to roll these on your glass coffee table.
Yeah, exactly. You would. Yeah, I'm sure your significant other would not be very happy with you if that was the case. But so this Kickstarter is active right now, and they have actually already reached their goal. It was one of those Kickstarters that went up and almost immediately made the goal. So they're working on their stretch goals right now. As of this recording, there's 21 days to go. They are at $20,702 of just the $7,000 that they wanted. But these are awesome, and I'm telling you, you will never go back to a regular set of dice again. I want a set of gunmetal dice so bad.
Yeah, they look fantastic.
After playing with those at Gen Con last year, so I'm hoping these guys are going to be at Gen Con this year, and I can talk to them, and we'll get some video of these dice if they're there.
Then let's head into the Curse of Strahd Collectors Series Minis from Gale Force 9.
Yeah, the fine folks over at Gale Force 9, they are not wasting any time just like pumping out the Curse of Strahd items. If you play with minis, which I'll be honest, I don't use minis in my D&D games anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. But the mini of Strahd that is on his fiery steed is pretty freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So, that I can see, just me being the DM that I am once, my players actually reach Castle Ravenloft. They're walking up to the castle. I'll just pop that mini down and I'll say, Strahd appears and kills you all just because he can. So
that can give them nightmares.
Yeah, exactly. I see what you did there, Piney. Very good. So this set is for pre-order right now. It's with all Gale Force 9 stuff. It's a limited set of 1,500 per mini, so you got to jump if you want to get in on it. The MSRP on it is just $25, so which is not bad for minis because minis are really expensive these days. But I do want to note that even though the pictures on the post I put up on DDO Players are in color, these do come unpainted.
Oh,
so you have to paint them yourself.
I was just going to say the painting job on that's incredible for
Yeah,
like a mass-produced product.
Yeah.
You know?
Hence why that's an incredible
Now
paint
you know
job.
why.
Yeah, so these are unpainted, so keep that in mind if that sways your decision. But if you're a patient person, you can paint them. You see, I just don't have the patience to paint minis like that. I did it one year at Gen Con. You know, they have like the little area where you can go and sit down and you can just like get a mini and start painting it. I did that for a little while just to kind of like, you know, wind down and get de-stressed a little bit. And that was kind of fun, but I don't think I could see myself just sitting around home doing that all the time. But
I actually love my mini painting. I do a lot of
Really?
mini painting. I'm not very good at it though. I don't have that kind of artistic skill of the shading and multi-layering that goes on there. I am starting to work with like say dry brushes and wet palettes and a few things like that to kind of branch things out a little bit. But I'm still very, very much in the amateur category.
wow. Well, you got me way beat then, because I'm just like, oh, I'll just put this color here and this color. Yeah, it looks good.
For any of my long-term campaigns, I like to make sure I create a mini just for that character and whatever
Really?
it's going to be.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and then I'll paint it myself.
Do you know how I handle painting miniatures?
Buy 'em.
Dip them in white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Buy 'em
You
pre-painted.
remember those D&D miniature? Remember the D&D miniatures game that was around late 3rd edition, early 4th edition?
You said the edition
Okay.
finally. Bad.
Yeah. Well, that game had some wonderful miniatures.
It did. I agree with you. I did. I never played. I take that back. I played the game one time. I don't own it, but it did have some cool miniatures. So that's what you use, and that's
Yeah, especially I use when I play Castle Ravenloft and the D&D board games. I've basically replaced many of the miniatures from there, since those are unpainted, with the ones from the miniatures game.
Oh,
And
nice.
it has a wonderful, because the straw that I had from my collection, it just beats the one from the board game out of the water, for example. So then let's head into Trapdoor Technologies, who announces a Pathfinder app.
Yeah, and you might know the name of Trapdoor Technologies if you pay attention to any of the tech side of D&D. You might know that they at one time had a license with Wizards of the Coast to create an app very similar to this for 5e. Well, something happened, and everybody's not quite sure exactly what went on there. There's one side of the story, then there's another side of the story, and then there's the truth, as they say. So nobody knows what happens, but that kind of went away, and Trapdoor Technologies kind of disappeared. And then they came back with the Kickstarter where they were trying to start another project that never got off the ground. Well, now they're teaming up with Paizo. They're going to do an official Pathfinder app. And what this is going to be is you can use this in your Pathfinder game. And they do have one of these out right now that you can get that uses Pathfinder's open license, the SRD that they have for it. So you can kind of see what this is going to be like. But the new version that's going to come out is going to be fully licensed. So it is going to have all the bells and whistles. You can do character management, you can do character creation, you can do anything you need to do as you're sitting at a table playing Pathfinder, you can do with this app, which is going to be available on iOS. Android is coming sometimes in the future, they said, but right now they're just concentrating on iOS. But it looks good so far. And Lisa Stevens, CEO of Paizo, says, "We are very excited to have Trapdoor join the Paizo family. We think that the playbook for Pathfinder has a great potential to improve the game prep and play experience. Streamlining bookkeeping and simplifying rules lookup during play will help gamers get the most out of their time at the table." And as I said, you can download the SRD version of this for free at the App Store right now, which I've linked in the article for this. And the fully licensed version, which they weren't really clear if that version is going to be free. From what I got out of the press release, I sent them an email to clarify this, but I didn't get an email back yet. What I got out of it is that version will be free as well, too, and then you will have to buy libraries for it. So, like, let's say you want the Monster Handbook, that will be a in-app purchase. And then you'll have the full core of the Monster playbook to use in your Pathfinder game. Or if you want the Player's Handbook, that will be an additional purchase, and so on and so on. It looks like that's the model that they're going to use for this. But it's still in development now. We'll keep an eye on it and post more once we know. but it is from Trapdoor Technologies.
It's a trap!
Yeah, exactly.
And we have Total War Warhammer. And welcome to the old world.
The old world is invading Total War, Pineleaf. Yeah, this is, in case many of you might be going, what the heck is Total War Warhammer? That is an upcoming turn-based strategy, real-time tactics video game. Say that a couple times fast. From Creative Assembly, and it's going to be published by Sega. It is using the Total War engine, but it is going to be using the factions from Game Workshop's Warhammer series. So if you're familiar with Total War, it was based on real-world encounters. The Warhammer version is, of course, going to be in the Warhammer Fantasy universe.
Yeah, it essentially takes a turn-based, like a historic, fairly deep turn-based strategy game and sets it in the Warhammer Fantasy universe, whereas previously it had been, say, Eras of Human History, that kind of thing.
Right, yeah. That explained it a lot better than what I did, so thank you for that. So yeah, they did release a trailer for this that showed off some of the factions and some of the in-game video of it, so head over to our site and check that out. And we'll be keeping an eye on this. I was never a big Warhammer fan. I know there's a ton of Warhammer people out there. And I know that the buzz around this game has been very good, and a lot of the Warhammer players have been waiting for this. So, and then I guess it goes on the same line too. There's a lot of people that are a fan of the Total War series games, which I am not, because I do not like RTS games whatsoever. So I have no desire to play this, but it looks awesome. I've always liked the look of the Warhammer stuff, and it looks like they combine the two really well. So we'll see how this plays out. But this is supposed to come out May 24th is the tentative release date for this. So not too much longer to wait on this one.
All right. Do you know the last time I've played an RTS game?
I'm going to say you were a big StarCraft player, probably.
I attempted StarCraft once. I didn't last very long with that. I did do about half the campaign of Warcraft 3. That's about as far as I got in RTSs. And you know the last time I did something with Warhammer?
I would not even be able to venture a guess on that.
Never. So you can imagine something I only played slightly a long time ago, and something I haven't played at all because I wasn't interested in it.
So what you're trying to tell us is you're not real excited about Total War Warhammer, is what
you got it.
All right. How about you, Cordovan? Are you a big RTS person?
Sorry, no. I respect it. I think it's really interesting, and I've played some. But typically, I play other styles.
Exactly how I am too.
I think that if I ever do play Total War, it might be something like historical, like Attila or something like that.
Which I've heard awesome things about the Total War series. I guess they're awesome games. I don't get the RTS thing. And I've had people try to convert me. My friends have tried to convert me.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yes. I much prefer turn-based and small scale.
Right.
Total War sounds like it's the opposite of both of them.
Exactly. So this will not be found on Pine Leaf Steam wish list. I'm just venturing a guess.
Yes. All right. Do we have any more questions from the chat room?
We do not. They are being really quiet tonight.
Ooh, they're going to bring it to us on us at the end.
Probably that's what's going to happen. It's going to get inundated with questions.
Right. So let's get on to the tabletop. And the Origins Awards nominees have been announced.
Yes, everybody in the industry looks forward to the Origins Awards. And this year, the nominees, we'll just go over some of these because there's a ton. You can see the complete list over at ddoplayers.com. Just look for the Origins Award post that I put up. Board games this year, Champions of Midgard, La Grangia, New York 1901, Orleans, and Star Wars Imperial Assault. All up for the board game of the year.
Well, let's see. I'm wondering which that's going to be. I'm surprised that New York 1901 was on that list. I guess Champions Midgard, I guess, is fine. Let's see. Orleans, I guess I pretty much would have expected that. And Star Wars Imperial Assault has a very large following.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, anything like Fantasy Flight Games, people are just going to clamor over because they do such awesome games.
Right. And I could see that in the card game, Seven Wonders Duel is one of the nominees there, which is Ooh, the Grizzled is...
Also, the Grizzled,
Yeah.
Ashes Rise of the Phoenix-born Medieval Academy, and Welcome to the Dungeon. Which I'm calling that one right now, and I'm going to say Seven Wonders Duel is going to win that, because that is such a good card game.
Interestingly, I haven't played any of them.
That's how I was in the board games. I'm sad to say I haven't played any of those that were nominated for Board Game of the Year. I have played Seven Wonders Duel, though.
All right, and for miniatures games, it looks like Star Wars, of course, is in there, but I don't think I've actually played any of these either. Boy, are we way behind.
Yeah, exactly. And we're a podcast that talks about tabletop, and we haven't even played these games. Good grief.
Well, we play lots of tabletop.
That's
Okay.
true. Just not the new stuff, apparently.
Now, in collectible games, it was interesting for Dice Masters. Okay, I have only purchased one of the Dice Master sets, and you could pretty much guess which one that one is.
Probably the D&D one.
Of course, the D&D
of course.
one.
Yeah, I was just trying to think. I'm like, I don't see you being a big Marvel guy, so
Yeah.
I don't think you bought the Marvel one. But yeah, the DC Comics Dice Masters War of Light is up for Collectible Game of the Year, Force of Will, and Yu-Gi-Oh's Legendary Decks. And I read this, and I literally said out loud, "Oh my God, Yu-Gi-Oh is still around." Who knew? I did not even know people were still playing Yu-Gi-Oh games.
All right.
So, the Dice Masters games are really fun. I played a couple of them. I played the Marvel, and I can't remember the other one I played. So, I guess I kind of sort of played the game, though. I didn't play the DC one, but I played the Marvel one, so it's close enough, right?
All right.
I know people that are DC versus Marvel are going to kill me for saying that, but sorry.
Now, for family games, interesting enough, I had just purchased Fuse, which is the fourth one in that list, and I'm getting ready to play my first round of that to see how that goes.
That is supposed to be a very good game. I've heard very good things, and I know it's getting good reviews.
Yes, I've been hearing great reviews, and it's been popping up on people's top 10s list quite a bit recently that I've been seeing, which is the reason why I got it.
Also in the family game category, Codenames, Comix, Doodles, and Me Want Cookies.
You want cookies, okay?
Which is an awesome name for a game. So there you have it. And that's by Elio. So once again, just judging by the studio, that should be a good game.
I always thought it was pronounced as yellow.
I've heard it both ways. I say Elio. Some people say yellow, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's the... All right, and role-playing games. That sounds like something that we should all be interested in. And
Yeah, I haven't played any of the games on this entire list now that I'm looking over it. Not one of these single games. I guess I'm way out of it or something.
That's right, because I have not yet started my first game of Fuse. And, of course, anyone knows, once you start a game of Fuse, you've got 10 minutes to finish it up or you lose. So, therefore... You don't start until you're ready to finish it.
So yeah, can't carve out 10 minutes to play Fuse, finally?
Well, I have just gotten ready to reading the rules and setting it up for the first game. So therefore, when I get 10 free minutes.
But I have to admit, I'm just looking at this list, and I really, other than, I guess I take that back. I have played the one game. I played Seven Wonders Duel. So, but as far as role-playing games, we have Cthulhu Britannical London box set, the Dracula Dossier Director's Handbook.
Honey, you don't have Dracula Dossier's Director's
I do not own it. I need to get it, just because it's Dracula. Fall of Magic, the Lone Wolf Adventure Game, and Star Wars Force and Destiny.
Lone Wolf Adventure Game?
Yeah, I have no idea what that is. It's by Cubicle 7. I am going to have to look that up.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to look that one up.
So, yeah, apparently we do not play new games, is what we've learned in this little section of the show tonight.
Guess not Bleeding Edge new anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
The Lone Wolf Adventure Game apparently was on... When was that on Kickstarter? That must have been Kickstarter last year. Oh, okay. It was from Britain. No wonder I never heard of it, because it was one of those UK Kickstarters from last year.
Okay. So these games that are all that we've just been talking about will be up, and the award ceremony will be Saturday night, June 18th at Origins, and we will be sure to let you know who wins after the award show.
Then Let's then head into Cryptozoic's Kickstarter Ghostbusters 2 board game.
Who are you going to call again, finally?
Ghostbusters!
Very good. Yes, I guess one board game wasn't enough for Cryptozoic. They had to have another. And it's based off of a movie that wasn't very good, in my opinion. But anyway, we do have the Ghostbusters 2 board game. It's on Kickstarter now. It looks like it follows the basic rules of the first Ghostbusters games that they kickstarted, which makes sense. This is a different game, though, so it's not like you have to own the first one to play this one. And I didn't read anywhere where you could combine the two, but I'm kind of assuming you can, because to me that would be insane to have two games and not be able to combine them in some way.
Oh, even if there wasn't anything in the rules, people would find a way.
Yeah, I'm sure they would, yeah. Just the people over at Board Game Geek will get right on that, I'm sure, and that will be done probably the minute the game comes out. This is up on Kickstarter. This was funded in 2 hours when the game, the Kickstarter went up. They 20 days as of this recording. They are setting at 537,769 of the 250 that they wanted. Like I said, it got funded in 2 hours. And every time I look, that goes up, so they're still getting people kicking in. They're working on their stretch goals. The game looks amazing, just like the first one did. And I hate to say this, I really do, but I don't know if I'd want to play a board game that's kind of tied into the movie that wasn't very good, but they are kind of basing this off the comics and the cartoon as well, so that's some saving grace for it. So we'll see, but the stretch goals are getting kicked off fairly quickly as well, too. So
Ghostbusters 2 has its fans. I remember at the time it being, when it came out, it was maybe not liked as much as the first one, but over time, it's like I've run into a lot of people who really like Ghostbusters 2, so, yeah.
To each their own, I guess. I love Ghostbusters too, so I mean, I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, and don't get me even started on the new one because I don't have enough bleeps to mention what I want to say about that. Just the trailer alone makes me want to spew 4-letter words for about 15 minutes. So,
there is a new one that they're coming out with?
Yeah, they're rebooting the Ghostbusters franchise.
Rebooting it?
Yes, they're rebooting it with female Ghostbusters. Have you been living in a cave? You haven't seen Legend. You haven't seen Labyrinth. You were familiar with the Goonies, but you've never seen it. And now you didn't even know they were rebooting Ghostbusters?
Hey, I have you beat, by the way. I need you guys to harass Cookie Kobold about having never seen Big Trouble in Little China.
What?
Yep, I know. I found out about that this week, and I was like, you know what? This is being corrected this week. I am not letting you go through the weekend having never seen Big Trouble in Little China.
He is so going to get a message from me on the forums now. How could you have never seen... Okay, Pinley, have you seen Big Trouble in Little China?
Have I seen what?
Big Trouble in Little China.
I'm not even too sure I've ever...
Oh my God, Pinley. Seriously?
Maybe it's a thing. I just assumed everyone knew what that movie was. Yep.
Oh God, Pinley. Really, Pinley? Oh, you disappoint me so. But remind me after the show. I will send you the trailer for this new travesty of a Ghostbusters movie. So
that I could skip it with knowledge?
Hey, there you go. See, but at least you'll be aware of it now.
I'll be aware of the movie I'm ignoring.
I can't believe you did not even know that they were rebooting that. Where have you been, man?
Well, I haven't been watching too many movies of late. Usually I get 1 or 2 movies in a year.
Well, we have quite a list going for you to watch now, so we'll have to add Big Trouble in Little China to that list. So pretty soon you're just going to have to sit down in front of Netflix and just veg out and just have a marathon of all these movies that you need to see or we're going to revoke your geek card.
Let's head into our week in DDO, assuming that we don't have questions from the chat.
Nice save, Pine Leaf. No, we don't.
All right, then let's head into our weekend. And Jirek, what have you been up to?
On Kenneth, my rogue, which is level 4, I run with you, so we'll let you talk about that. And that's actually all I did on Kenneth this week. I didn't really do much. Over on Arganesson, I have a level 4 ranger that I started at level 4. And I'm doing something different with this one.
I can see.
And I'm going to be totally open and honest with how I got this idea. I have been for the past, and Cordovan doesn't even know about this yet, so we're going to get his honest reaction for this. For the past, I'm going to say about 3 weeks, I have been going back and I have been listening to the old DDO cast. I started with I started with episode number 1.
Oh God!
And let me look at my iPod. I am on episode 186 right now.
Oh wow! Okay.
And somewhere, I think in the 160s maybe, you were talking to some guys, I think they were from Japan, that they were called the No Questers. They only did wilderness adventure areas.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
So I got that because I heard them talking about it, and I'm like, I want to do that. That would be awesome. I want to see how far I can get. So I created a ranger on Arganesson to do this. And I started at level 4, so I started out in the Cerulean Hills. So I'm doing, all the explorers, all the rares, all the whatever. And I'm just going to keep going, and once again, I'm going to do no quest whatsoever. So I owe it to that old, and I should have wrote down that episode number, but I want to say it was in like the 160s range, maybe, episodes. Like I said, I've just been listening to these back to back, so.
Well, that's cool. That's great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. When I filled in for DDO Cast recently, originally I was trying to find all my old commercials, because if you went all the way through to 186, you've heard pretty much all of them. And there were some that just have never really been saved very much. That only really got played that one time that they aired, just because you have a million files and some just get lost in the shuffle.
And some of those commercials were amazing, too. They were awesome. And it's so funny to go back, just as a side note to my week in DDO here, to go back and listen just how excited everybody was, like when the Shroud first came out. And and it's just like just to hear, or like when something else came out, and it's like that is so to hear. Now everybody that was on there is now like the the grizzled old veterans that are like back in my day, but back then it was like still new to all you guys, and it's just like it is basically to some of this stuff is to finally but I now, and it's just so awesome to hear you guys so excited about this stuff.
Oh, well, that's fun.
It's fun.
I can't imagine you doing that. I couldn't imagine listening to 186 of anything, much less myself.
Yeah, I don't know what made me start doing it one day, but I just thought, because I listened. I think I started listening to DDO Cast probably. I think like one of the first things I remember actually hearing was the Mayor of Stormreach. So that's about the era that I started listening the first time.
Oh, that's a good time to start. That was so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was great. And so I just decided, I'm going to go back and listen to these that I missed. And it's like, it's just, it's fun. Yeah, basically what I do is just, when I'm, working on computers around here, I usually have a podcast or music playing anyway. So I'm just like, I'll just play all these old DDO casts. So
cool.
Eventually I'll get through them all. But that's what gave me this idea. So I'm now just got a ranger that is just doing wilderness areas, so we'll see how that goes. I'm sure I'm totally going to like gimp myself on a lot of things, and it's going to be challenging, I think. So we'll see how that goes. But Wayfinder, I logged in, I did my daily dice, and that was it. I can't remember what day. I think I logged in before the patch, and it was really, really laggy. But that was before the patch you guys did, so I don't know. I can't speak to that now. So I can't say anything about Wayfinder now, so I'll have to try to play this week on Wayfinder. And then over on Thelanis, I created a level 7 ranger, because I know there's a bunch of people in the community that play on Thelanis that, I want to eventually play with one day. And I didn't have a character over there, so I created that to do that. And also I wanted to get one of the bows from the anniversary event before it ended, so I'd have a pretty decent bow for my ranger.
Good thinking.
Yeah. So it was a good time to start a new character. So I was running all the harbor stuff, either the explosive situation, arachnophobia, Dirk's Got a Secret. I did that on Elite. The ones I could do on Elite that I had the choice, I did. That was Dirk's Got a Secret, Garrison's Missing Pack, Information is Key, Recovering the Lost Tome. And then I did the Boundary quest line on Elite as well.
I just say your spelling of sewer is interesting.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I'm surprised that the spell check did not correct that. But thanks for pointing that out, Pine Leaf, that the audience will never see, because by the time the show notes go up, it'll be corrected. So there's a little behind the door scene for you there, folks. And then over in Neverwinter, my Warlock is now up to level 50, and I am in the Chasm area. That's where I'm questing. And yeah, basically I know last week I said my Warlock was slowly becoming my main in Neverwinter, and that's what happened. I have not even dusted off my Ranger at all in I don't know how long, so I just am having fun with the Warlock. And once again, Neverwinter, that game, I jump in, jump out. I don't play it for very long stretches of time, because to be honest, it gets kind of boring after a while. But it's fun for like about a half hour, 45-minute play session. I have a ton of fun. I'm enjoying it. So and then I jumped into Fantasy Grounds. I know we've talked about Fantasy Grounds a lot. My friend and his two boys, the ones that I'm going to do the Curse of Strahd tabletop campaign with, his boys wanted to... we had told them, or my friend had told them about Fantasy Grounds, and they wanted to check it out, and they said, we would have played D&D over the internet with him. And I'm like, well, this is the perfect opportunity to do this. So we jumped in, created a campaign. We're going to do the Harridan Hillspar quest, or module is what I'm going to run for them. So they jumped in, and basically all we did, we started creating the characters. And I'm still trying to get a grasp on Fantasy Grounds, but we're going to do that when we're not actually doing the Curse of Strahd tabletop. We're going to be playing that on Fantasy Grounds. And then my friend and I jumped into Tabletop Simulator. We played Zombie Dice and Zombies over the Tabletop Simulator. And I think both of us at once said, we have seen the future, and the future is awesome. Because it blew our minds. We were sitting here talking over Skype, playing zombies, and it looked like we were at a table playing zombies. It was awesome.
Okay. I guess I'm not familiar with that particular game. I have played Zombie Dice, but Zombies I'm not too sure of.
Zombies is a tile-based game. You have tiles, and then you draw a tile, and if it's not there's like special ones. There's like a police station, a fire station, a hospital, a toy store. Those are like special tiles. If it's not a special tile, it gets 2 zombies. If it's a special tile, it gets however many zombies it says. So each time you lay a tile, new zombies come on the board. So it's the players versus the zombies. And somewhere in the stack of tiles is going to be a helipad tile, and that's what you're trying to get. So the object is to get from the center tile to wherever the helipad tile is placed. But the helipad tile has, I can't remember off the top of my head how many zombies are in it, but I want to say it's like 9 or something. So you have to fight your way through those zombies and be the last one that's standing in the helipad tile to win. So we played that with Tabletop Simulator, and it really was just like we were sitting at a table playing. You have the zombies, you have the tiles, it literally blew our minds that we're like, we're playing a tabletop game virtually on the computer, and it looks like we're at a table.
I guess anytime I've tried playing anything on Tabletop Simulator, it's always felt clunky. Any game I've played on it.
Do you have Tabletop Simulator? I know you have Tabletopia, which is basically the same thing. It's just a different...
Yeah, I have Tabletop Simulator. I've had that one for a good year, I think.
One of these days, then, we're going to do Tabletop Simulator, and we'll play... maybe I'll teach you how to play zombies.
Yeah. I have a feeling that there's certain games that are probably better implemented than others.
Right, probably.
Because I've tried a couple of them, and... I just gave up attempting to play the game. I think I tried to say, I could try playing Friday on here. I attempted to play it I'm pulling out my Friday box and playing it that way because it's 100 times easier to play it with.
So, yeah.
I guess
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I know I've talked about in my past weeks what I've did. I've talked about a tabletop game called Blood Rage that my friends and I play a lot. It's actually available on Tabletop Simulator, so we're gonna try to play that and see what that's like. And that's a kind of complicated game. There's a lot of pieces and a lot of setup is involved in it. So that will be, I think, the true test for Tabletop Simulator to see how well Blood Rage works on it. But Zombies was awesome. We loved it. We had a blast playing that. So one day this week or soon, Pine Leaf, we'll carve out some time and I'll teach you how to play Zombies.
Okay, because the theme of it sounds similar to a game called Rise of the Zombies, which is
It's very similar to that one, actually, yes.
All right.
But yeah, so that was my week. So how about you, Pine Leaf? What have you been up to? And
All right, then we will head in with my No More Lock, which I play with Draculetta. If you remember last week, I had forgotten to do those harbor quests, so therefore right after last week's show, I went and took care of that. So I did those 4 solo harbor quests in there. And the only one I had trouble with was Home Sweet Sewer. And you say, how could I have trouble with Home Sweet Sewer? And that is because I had 2 items on me that had reflect abilities.
Oh, well, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, that's what I told him because we were still on the Skype call.
My shoes and my robe both had reflect abilities. So, of course, that failed the first time around. So, therefore, I ran a second time without my shoes and my robe. Now, do you know what happens to your speed and your armor class when you do that?
Goes down.
Yeah. So, therefore, I had all through, I'm trying to lead the dogs there, and I'm going snap, snap, and watching my my health bar go down, down, down. I chugged more potions in that adventure than in any other adventure I've ever played in DDO.
Wow.
Twice as many, I think.
I'm on the Skype. I'm still on the Skype call with Pine Leaf, and I'm like, dude, how are you dying in Home Sweet Sewer? I'm like, seriously, how are you dying?
Yeah, it was just incredible. I mean, I was just being torn to pieces because I was too slow to outrun the dogs because I didn't have my boots. Because I couldn't wear my boots because I had a reflect. And my robe, of course, has most of my armor class. So it's like they were constantly hitting me. They were running up next to me, being able to hit me, and then constantly hitting me. Well, then, once I managed to don my equipment again and teamed up with Draculetta. Oh, actually, arachnophobia was a lot better. I got through arachnophobia without breaking a single one of those sarcophagi, and that's with a warlock. And believe me, it's challenging refraining yourself from not blowing up 10 of those things in the first room.
We've had people say we should do a Tarrasque, and I think we should make a legendary Home Sweet Sewer where basically the Colt says, hey, I've got some dogs I need you to run out with, and you go in there and they're Tarrasques, or Tarrasques, or however you say them.
Do it.
Tarrasque, I think, is the proper way of doing it.
Yes.
Oh, boy. Now, of course, the concept of plural Tarrasque is, of course, something that's strange. Traditionally, the Tarrasque, it was a dragon-like monster from Spain. And you know how in England they have the tradition of St. George and the Dragon?
Mm-hmm.
The Spanish version is the Tarrasque. And the one who slays that, I think it's St. Martha, who's the slayer of the Tarrasque. So it's their story goes differently, obviously, than...
Okay, so the kobold may need to be named Martha. I get that. Okay, so...
And
no,
that, folks, was...
Oh, yeah, that'll give you a little hint.
No,
Martha.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if for those who knew it, they'd be like,
yes.
what? No,
Yeah, they're
really?
Like, this is wrong. This
yeah, they
needs
can't
to
be. No,
Martha.
they wouldn't do that. What? Yeah.
Yes. All right,
That's awesome.
let's go into the steam tunnels where Drac and I went, and we did the entire series from Sacred Helms, Blockades, and Caverns of Shock, and the Halls of Chanticleer, and we managed to get all the way through there. So then we go to my human warlock, where, if you remember, last week I couldn't get time to do this, but 2 weeks ago, I had gone into the temple and cleared out dungeon level 1, which is the first time I managed to do that solo. So this time, I decided, all right, I wasn't going to clear out dungeon level, my goal was to see how far I can get without getting killed. So I go down, and the mobs, when I was doing that run through yesterday, were in a tough mood. I go through that harpy almost tore me to pieces. I mean, wait a minute, I took this character to the harpy room just a couple weeks ago, and I didn't think I had any trouble there. But no, she was in a tough mood. And so I had to worry about all those. So I got through that, but I managed to get through there. And of course, I got the other boss that's in that room. The optional one was there also. So I go through there. The Medusa was in a particularly mean mood, and I just barely got by on that one. And of course, when I went to pick up the club in Rollick's Chamber, the club had been moved to the other area. Fortunately, if you remember 2 weeks ago, I had learned the other way to get to around that Gatling Ballista, so I didn't have to worry about the Gatling Ballista. So I went through the Earth Temple, went down into the cell area, picked that up, and then just because I felt like revenge, I then went to the back door to the Gatling Ballista area and blasted the shooter over there because of the number of times it's killed me.
Payback, finally?
What?
Well, you know where Romance Club first tends to show up, which is in that kind of side room off the main room to the east of the map, right? So if it doesn't show up there and you need to get past the ballista, you can go out the way you came, down to the left, and that'll just take you around to the other side. And that's the pit area that's got the ballista in the other room.
Yeah, but you can't hurt the guys in the ballista because that one, the one with the pit there, you can't get to because the portcullis is down.
Oh, right. Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the only two ways I know are either going through the room that is guarded by the ballista or by going through the outer parts of the Earth Temple. And the latter I only learned about 2 weeks ago.
Which I still cannot believe that you didn't know that. Because I swear the last time we did the temple, I took you that way. I'm almost positive I did.
Well, sometimes when you go with someone and they're leading you through, you don't exactly remember things as well.
Well, I guess that's true.
Yeah, so it's only when you do it when you do it alone that you really get to remember where things are. Sort of like if you have somebody drive you somewhere, you don't remember it as easily as if you drove yourself. At least that's my experience. So therefore, I went there, managed to get that stuff out. Then I went down into the area where you had did the thing with the Earth Temple, then went into the Air Temple, then the fire and the water. And I was just trying to say, okay, would it be the fire one that kills me or the Earth and the now this is level 7, so I'm doing this at normal. Last time I went down this area, I was doing in casual with the level 6 character. So I'm going through here, and that gelatinous cube engulfed me at least 4 times during the course of this fight. It's like, what? I don't think I've ever been engulfed by that thing before. This thing managed to do it 4 times. It's like all the monsters were just mean yesterday, and somehow I can't believe I actually managed to live through that fight.
So what you're saying is you were Pine Leaf cubed.
Yeah. Then after that, and then the fire actually was easy compared to the water side, but I managed to get through there. Then I went down into the mushroom room, somehow survived that, and the biggest shocker of all, I lived through the boss fight.
Oh, nice.
I was like, what? I did have a cleric with me, a hireling cleric, but that was all I had with me. I was sitting there saying, I won the fight in normal.
So did you get a good loot?
I don't remember any good loot.
Well, you probably didn't get it then if you did remember it.
Yeah, I think I would have remembered it if I had any loot in. But that does mean that I have unlocked part 2, so that means I can have. So during this next week, my goal is to have my first journey into part 2.
Well, I can't wait until next week's show then.
And if you remember, I've only been in part 2 once before. That was with you leading it, so I remember absolutely.
That's why I can't wait until next week's show.
All I remember is this opening room, which I remember because of 2 weeks ago when I tried to go onto Wayfinder and I found out that it was just too laggy. And the other time was with you, which all I remember was being squished by a certain fungus at the end.
Yeah, we had a little problems with old
That'll happen.
Zugmoy in there, yeah. She's tough. That's a tough fight.
So I'm sure that I'm going to be turned into a huge giant fungus at the end of it, but we'll see if I could survive long enough to get to that part. And as for board gaming, I went down in to play Talisman with Brannick and Terry Adwin right after our little meeting after Lotro in place of Lotro Academy last week. And Brannick wanted to play Talisman, and he added, I think, 3 or 4 expansions into there. And it's like saying how slow. Now, Talisman can be a pretty slow game, but when you play it with that many extra cards in there, with all those expansions there, it becomes glacial. It took us 3 hours to get through that game.
Oh my God.
You're not even getting near, like, say, Twilight Imperium.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's
yeah,
true.
the Twilight Imperium is designed as a long game, and if I can believe Sam Healy from the Dice Tower, it gives you a much better 3 hours than Talisman ever could give you.
I haven't played Talisman. I don't know.
You played Talisman for 3 hours?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And Terry Adwood was like saying, ooh. I have a feeling that if you say the word Talisman to her in the future, she'll say no faster than you could say any word.
Wow.
Because
You're blowing my mind. I think the longest game of Talisman I've ever played was maybe an hour and 30 minutes, and that's even, like, I think extended it longer than it actually was.
yeah, well, we didn't do anything to accept. When I went in there and started going into the inner region, I thought I was going in there too early but I said, okay, it's getting near midnight. We've got to finish this game up. So I'm either going to get killed
That's
or
insane.
win the game. I didn't care which one happened. And in fact, I went to the pit when I was at the vampire castle. I hit a wrong button, and so I wound up losing lives instead of killing off followers. So I went to the pit fiends with only 1 life left, and I rolled 6 pit fiends.
Oh, jeez. Oh, good God.
And it's like, this is going to be impossible. And okay, so first pit fiend I beat, second pit fiend I beat, third one defeats me. Oh, I forgot that I had this armor on, and this armor managed to save my life.
Jeez.
And the round number generator is really nice. Now remember, I had a strength of only 4, and I managed to kill off all the rest of the pit fiends and win the game.
Oh, jeez.
Nice. Yeah.
Good grief.
It was like that was, but yeah, because getting straight, we never drew anything like the strength pool or I was playing the warlock here, so I started out in the middle area, so it didn't exactly. Which isn't exactly the most comfortable place to start a game of Talisman. But yeah, so I managed to win the game, but 3 hours.
That's insane.
Yeah. So Cordovan, what did you do?
Well, I was actually pretty busy. I was in game a lot this past week because I wanted to get a sense of what the game experience was like. So if I really start ticking it off, on Tuesday, I joined the Halfling Commandos on Sarlona to do some Mark of Death raiding. They had been twittering about that, and so I was able to stop by and do that, and that was a lot of fun. We didn't win, but it was really kind of a learning raid more than it was like a let's get this done in the most efficient way possible kind of raid, and it was a really good time. Wednesday, I can't remember what I did on the live stream. Wednesday night, and actually most of this week at night, I've either spent like an hour or so leveling up my gnome wizard on Talanis, and I went from level 9 to level 13 this recent days. And I did that by doing like Grey Moon, Cult of Six. I did the Threnal Chain. I was also over on Talanis this week. I did some epic leveling. I'm actually kept up. I was helping someone else level up, and we did like epic party crashers and all that sort of thing. A whole bunch of epic XP because of the big group bonus, so we were taking advantage of that as much this weekend as we could. So yeah, I ended up playing actually quite a bit of DDO this weekend. I'm trying to think. I was joined Samus during his 12-hour live stream on Sunday. I flagged for Heroic Shroud. That was over on Sarlona. And so now that guy's ready for that. And actually, I played quite a bit, actually. And then tabletop-wise, I had my pen and paper game on Friday night, and we're continuing to do Out of the Abyss. It's kind of a long campaign thing, and that's what we're playing right now on the tabletop. That's 5th edition Forgotten Realms. And then we're also, or is it not Out of the Abyss? Yeah, it is Out of the Abyss, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Then on Saturday, I went to on the DDO forums, he was known as Flimsy Firewood. He's one of the people I interviewed for the 10th anniversary. Him and his gaming group, we get together about once a month to do kind of independent tabletop. People who are making their own tabletop games will use the group to demo different things. Flimsy himself has demoed several of the games that he's done. So this weekend, we played Night Witches, which is a tabletop game from Bully Pulpit Games. And the Night Witches were a World War II Russian aviation wing that were composed entirely of women. And they flew outdated biplanes near the front lines during World War II. Like, they're an actual historic group, and you play as one of the pilots there. And it's a turn-based thing where there's a day cycle and a night cycle. You're doing your bombing runs at night, and during the day you're improving your career, you're working on your military training, that sort of thing, and you collect points that you then spend to help you succeed during your bombing runs. And it's based on, I'm trying to think, Apocalypse rules campaign, so most of it is a 2d6 campaign where 6 and below is GM's call. In terms of what happens, and a 7 to 9 is a success, but one of a certain number of things happens, and 10 and above is a success, but still one thing happens. And it's really kind of based more on storytelling than stats, but it has kind of this rules-based storytelling that if you aren't familiar with, you can look it up, but it's pretty cool. And so you kind of end up having like compromises, setbacks, and that sort of thing, even when you succeed. And you can also change GMs, which is a little bit different from some other campaigns. There are times during the campaign where you'll actually switch who's the kind of dungeon master, so to speak, and continue on. So I played that on Saturday, and that was pretty cool.
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
Mm-hmm. I will say it does have some mature themes. It is a historically, they did try to go for historic respect and reverence, but you do also need to recognize that we're talking about World War II here, and some of the difficulties that women faced being in the Russian military in World War II and that sort of thing as well. So there is some mature themes in that in the game if you choose to explore that. It's in the rules. So.
All right. Thank you. And anything else from the chat room?
No, we're just everybody's probably DDO Central linked the Night Witches game, the link to the Bully Puppet Games site. So I think everybody is currently looking at that game right now, probably. So
yeah,
I will also add that to the show notes as well. So that link will be in the show notes.
But so basically, it was really just leveling up on a lot of my heroic characters, a lot on Thelanis this week, but also on Sarlona. And it was a lot of fun playing DDO this week. And we're also internally, we're getting ready for our first Lamania preview. Like I say, potentially by the end of the week here. And so we've got some new quests coming there and Fighter Kensei work. And like I said, I've got a little video here with the Umbra Hulk and that I did this week as well. So I'm looking at some of the U31 stuff.
Thank you very much. And currently we have 25 supporters on Patreon. And if you would like to support DDO Players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. And there you will find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be a guest host for an episode of DDO Players News. And we have a couple of featured comments. The first of these comes from the cleric from the party on DDO Players News, episode 78. Drac versus the RNG. Drac, your hatred of the cleric is always amusing. I did notice that your pre-gen characters for that adventure.
Okay, let me set the record straight here. I don't hate clerics. I just hate his particular cleric. So I just want to get that out there. And yes, I did have pre-gens ready to go because we started the Curse of Strahd. And I did not have any pre-gen clerics because I knew he was going to make a cleric because he always does. So I set the record straight, and his cleric will be the first to die. I can guarantee you that.
Oh,
But the problem is, his cleric, he built it so well. His armor class, I want to say, is like he's got I think he has like a 16 or a 17 AC. So do you know how hard it is for me to roll to actually hit him? That's why I hate his cleric. Just for the record.
Just for the record. All right, then. Livmo on King's Road to publish official Dungeons & Dragons book and coloring book says, back in the day, we had this one. Thanks for sharing. I can't wait.
And he did link a copy of the coloring book that he has, and I didn't even know that was ever out. That is awesome.
Yeah, I never had the coloring book. There was some cool stuff, though. You know, I saw that in the show notes, and it reminded me of my personal favorite. And I'm going to link to an eBay thing just because that's the one that came up, but I don't know anything about this eBay thing, so just look at it for the picture.
Buyer beware is what you're saying?
Yeah. It's, remember Kellic from the toy line? He was my favorite. Yeah, that was the LJN toy set was the one I liked the best. I was trying to remember, and maybe this audience can help. My brother and I, we had it was like Play-Doh, but it wasn't Play-Doh. Instead you put this like cement-like substance into a mold, and then it would dry, and it would become like a modeling clay. Like you would actually kind of put it in these molds. But I had a Dungeons and Dragons version of that, and it had like a hobgoblin and an orc in it, and you would make them out of like I said, this kind of paste-like subject. And now I can't remember what the name of it is, and Google has failed me. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, please give me a name.
DDO Central in the chat is saying he had the original D&D coloring book by Gary Gygax. That is
nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then, I linked Libmo's picture that he put, and DDO Central said that is the coloring book that he had, which I did not even know that coloring book existed. And that kind of sounds familiar, what you were talking about, but I know I never had it, but I know I've seen it. And I want to say I've seen it on eBay. Because I have like a search saved for like old D&D stuff on eBay. And every once in a while I see some gems. And I think I saw that stuff you were talking about, Cordovan, on eBay a while ago.
For some reason, the name in my head is something like something make a mold or make a monster or something like that. But I can't remember what it was called now. But I could picture it clearly because I loved that thing when I was a kid.
But Dan Tal from the chat room wins. He said he had D&D Shrinky Dinks.
I had D&D Shrinky Dinks.
I did too. Those things were awesome.
Yeah.
I love Shrinky Dinks. They need to bring those back. I'm surprised they haven't. Because all the old stuff is like becoming retro now. So I'm surprised nobody's. I wonder who owns the rights to Shrinky Dinks. Somebody has to have the rights to it. I'm sure.
I bet they're still making them. I bet you could still get Shrinky Dinks.
Maybe. Have to look.
Maybe it's generic now, so it's just a generic brand, plastic baking art.
Just dinks. They're not shrinky anymore. They're just dinks. Let's see. Why we move on? I'll look up to see if you can still get Shrinky Dinks.
Oh, okay, that's right. Oh, right. I was wondering about the link in there. Of course, it was on the next page.
The coloring book?
It looked like it was at the end of the entire thing. I didn't realize that because it was slightly larger than what was left on the page.
Yeah, it just jumped down to the second page in the show notes.
Right. Well, then. We did not have any emails this week. Oh, but do we have any more questions in the chat?
Let me take myself on mute before I answer that question. We do not, but I do have a question for Cordovan.
Ooh.
And now I completely forgot what it was, so crap.
All right. Cordovan, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to say to give Drac a chance to remember?
Sure. This week is PAX East. If you're going to be
that's what it was.
Okay. If you're going to be at the Penny Arcade Expo, I'm going to be on the grounds in the convention center on Sunday. Since Turbine isn't physically displaying on the show floor this year, we don't all have free 3-day passes. So, it's so tough to be me, right? I don't get a free 3-day pass to PAX East.
First world problem.
So I know, right? So, but I got a Sunday pass, so I'm going to be going on Sunday. But I'm going to be at the convention center and doing stuff related to PAX East all weekend long. I'm tentatively planning, just because I know a couple of DDO players from England are flying in, that I think we're going to try to have some kind of casual dinner on Friday. just sort of a kind of meet up. Hey, let's hang out, chat, eat some food, that kind of thing. And then on Sunday, we're going to have some kind of casual thing as well, perhaps Sunday afternoon or something like that. Just to kind of hang out with some bloggers. I know Confessions of a Geek Mom is going to be there as well, and some other folks. And it's just kind of an open invitation to any Turbine folks who wish to stop by. This is all on everyone's own dime because we don't have a budget for it this year. But it's really just kind of a hang out, have fun with other DDO people, talk DDO, talk to me, and yes, of course, I will have as much swag as I can carry. And yes, I may have a few dice bags.
So everybody mob Cordovan is what you're saying.
But even if you can't make that or you don't want to or whatever, but you would like to perhaps get whatever swag's left or just ask us a question, please get in touch with me through either Twitter or the DDO forums. Both of those I can check from the convention from wherever I am on my cell phone. So if you DM me on Twitter or PM me on the forums, that's the best way to get in touch with me during PAX. I'll work around your schedule. If you're a big DDO player and you want to, get a couple pieces of DDO swag while you're at PAX East, please get in touch with me, and I'll make sure that we, if it's at all possible, we'll get together.
And if you would like to contact us, you could contact us at podcast@ddoplayers.com. You could also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance at PlayersLI, DDO Players at DDO Players, Draculetta at Draculetta_72, Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles, and you could also join our Steam group. And you can follow our guest at DDO Unlimited and also on his twitch.tv/DDO stream. And his personal Twitter account is at Jerry Snoop. The Players Alliance has 5 live shows every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News. Every other Thursday at 9 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have XP Quest. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Locho Players News. Every other Saturday after Locho Players News, we have Tales of the Free Folk. And on the last Friday of each month at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Locho Academy After School. And you can join us for our live shows at ddoplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.